Part 29. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Ixie. Chapter 281. Chapter 281. Missing it, my heart aches to the point of bleeding. Yezikin wanted to take a flight back to City S, but the flight was delayed due to snowy weather. I flipped through the phone book on my phone and finally closed my eyes. Forget it, I'll find her again when I go back to City S, or I'll cry again. He could not guarantee when he would be able to return to Yewaiwei. The snowy weather aggravated his condition, and the intermittent coughing sounded distressing. He was afraid that Yayuyi would be worried. Now it seems that I can only look at the videos and photo albums that have been saved for many years. The little red dumpling still looks cute and makes me happy. City. Because it snows only once in a few years in the city, the sight of proud snow and cold plum blossoms attracts many tourists to watch. The only thing I did in the night was to walk around aimlessly, hoping that someone would abide by the agreement. There was no class teacher's voice and pictures in the class, and some students piled up snowmen. Strange. Children, enjoy the snow in the plum forest and ask for a chance encounter. Chu Shui seeks first love. Yewaiwei couldn't help but smile. In fact, she is no longer the child who insisted on building a snowman. She just hopes that the person who promised to help her build a snowman can stay with her. I heard that lovers who meet in Chugzhou will receive the best blessings in the world. Ouch. When Yewei was standing under the tree, a short figure suddenly rushed in front of him and fell to the ground. Yewei turned around, bent down and stretched out his hand, and a strong arm stretched out from the other side at the same time. They all wanted to help the child who fell next to him, but the child got up quickly and politely thanked them for their help. Thank you, beautiful sister, and thank you, handsome brother. The child ran away again after finishing speaking. Yewei stood up, and the hand just now had grabbed her arm. Isn't it impossible to tell? This familiar voice. Looking up at that familiar face, who is it if it's not Su Yuchen? It's you. This is really embarrassing. She never thought that Merlin might meet Su Yuchen. But things didn't go as planned, so she was caught in a desperate situation. I didn't realize it at the time, but later I heard them say that the plum blossoms were blooming well, and it was a rare sight to see the plum blossoms blooming in the snow, so I couldn't help but come. Then why didn't you tell me? Well, I have already rejected them, so it would be hard to find you again. I don't care. He even wanted to say, if you come back to me, I will still be ecstatic. The only person holding his forehead at night. Su Yuchen was afraid that exposing too much of his emotions would be counterproductive, so he carefully suppressed other thoughts in his mind and tried to talk to her in a calm manner. That's okay, we're all here anyway, so let's go for a walk together. Yewei scratched the back of his ear and still declined. Well, I was just looking around, but I don't know anything about appreciating flowers and snow. I don't understand either. It's better to go together as two people than to be alone, right? One person. This sentence touched her sensitive heart. Yewei lowered his eyes and said nothing more, and the two of them walked through the whole Merlin in silence, one after the other. Until Su Yuchen reminded her, it's getting dark, it's time to go back. It was getting dark, but she didn't receive a message or a phone call. The pain that rushed through her heart almost made her breathless at that moment, but in the end, she had to admit, things have changed. Returning to school dejected, she said goodbye at the school gate, but Su Yuchen insisted on sending her downstairs to the dormitory. The man in a trench coat stood under the dim tree and coughed. His face was pale, but blood was dripping from his lips. Thanks to Waterbank Star City for the reward. I feel so sorry for Brother Chen. Brother Chen is the male protagonist who makes me feel the most distressed. If there are more than 22 messages that wish Brother Chen to watch the first snow with Xiao Lingdang, he will let them watch the first snow on Chinese Valentine's Day. Why 22? Because good things come in pairs. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 282. Chapter 282. The snow stopped when we went to find him. Downstairs in the dormitory, Ye Wei thanked him with dark eyes. Thank you for today. Suyuchan took 2 steps and suddenly turned around. Xiao Li, did we watch the first snow together today? The only person who had her back turned to him was Ye. When she heard Suyuchan's question, she sighed deeply, as if she had never heard the voice before, and continued to walk closer to the dormitory door. Suyuchan had a slight smile on his lips. Although he didn't get the answer he wanted, today's walk in the plum forest and the company of the first snow had fulfilled his wish. He walked back, and as he passed the tree-lined avenue, he always felt a line of sight tightly focused on him. Suyuchan looked around and saw only scattered people walking on campus, except under the big tree in front of the dormitory building, there was a figure standing alone without an umbrella to cover the snow, as if he was a lonely figure standing alone in the world. He walked back by accident because the lights were dim at night and his vision was not as clear as during the day. Just when Suyuchan was 5 meters away from the figure under the tree, he suddenly received a call from Lu Biang. He only looked under the tree a few more times and finally stayed away. Ahem. I wiped the blood from my lips with my fingers, only to realize that snow had already fallen on my fingertips. The grey trench coat was also dyed snow white. But now this snow seems unnecessary. He walked out of the darkness step by step, his lonely shadow stretched by the dim light. Bedroom. Yayoi pushed open the door and entered. When her roommate saw her coming back, she quickly grabbed her and said, "Hey, Xiao Li is back. Come and see the snowman we made." Yayoi was stunned for a moment. The mini snowman on the table was surprised and said, "This isn't snow, is it?" "Haha, of course not." The roommate was amused and explained with a smile, "This is light clay. Someone in the custodial group built a snowman. We made one in the dormitory this afternoon so that it will not melt." Yewei forced a smile, "It's very beautiful. A very beautiful snowman that will never melt, but the one that survives is ultimately a fake." Boom. The roommates were knocked open again by a strong force. Shen Nianan was holding a stack of thick books in both hands, so he bumped the door rudely with his shoulder. Seeing that her things were heavy, Yewei hurriedly reached out to help her. Shen Nianan shook his head and threw the things on the table. "I'll clean them up later." Shen Nianan patted the book and was about to wash her hands. When she passed by Yewei, she suddenly stopped and said with a troubled expression, "When I came back from school just now, I seemed to see your brother." "What did you say?" Yewei froze. "On the way back just now, I saw a tall and thin boy without an umbrella, so I took a second look. If I remember correctly, he was your brother." Shen Nianan was also curious. "The man braved the wind and snow without an umbrella and looked quite tall. Lonely." Shen Nianan went to the sink to wash his hands and said casually, "But that's probably not the case. If your brother came to school to meet you, why would you let him walk away in the snow?" "Ah!" As soon as he finished speaking, Shen Nianan screamed. Because her right arm was suddenly pinched tightly by Yewei. "Where is he? Tell me where he is." "Let go first, it hurts." Yes, I'm sorry, Anan, I'm sorry." Yewei hurriedly let go of his hand, apologized repeatedly, and asked anxiously, "Tell me where that person is." Shen Nianan pinched his arm and said, "Let's go outside the school." Yewei slammed the door and walked out. Shen Nianan didn't understand why she lost her composure and wanted to remind her that she didn't bring an umbrella, but when she looked outside. "Hey, why did it stop snowing?" P. Today this book is going to be published on PK. I hope Kaibao readers can vote, leave messages and give rewards through QQ on their mobile phones. These 3 data are particularly important, and I hope Kaibao will cooperate with them. Kixi wants to know how many of the Kaibao people hope that they can see the first snow, And the book review section starts, I pray that the first snow will fall when Brother Chen and Xiao Lingdang meet again. Thanks for the reward in Xiaotian. Yesterday on Chinese Valentine's Day, I saw Kaibao's messages wishing Brother Chen and Xiao Lingdang to read Chugzio's messages. Some people said that if they continue to abuse them, what should they do now that Chugzio has stopped? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 283. Chapter 283 Idiot, I finally found you. Ye Wei ran out, threw away all persistence and took the initiative to call Yezikin. The battery had already warned. When she hurried downstairs, she was surprised to find that the snow in the sky had stopped falling. The first snow, has it stopped? She stood in the night sky and saw scattered passers-by. She grabbed her long hair in pain and kept cursing, Yezikin, you big idiot. No, no. She wasn't sure if it was Yezikin who came to find her, but she would hold on to the slightest possibility. She took advantage of the last 3% of the battery to dial the number that she knew by heart. Her heartbeat accelerated and she was extremely nervous. Hurry up and pick it up, hurry up and pick it up. She watched helplessly as dialing on the call page changed to call in progress. Joy filled her heart, but the moment she opened her mouth to speak, her phone screen went black and was turned off. Yuyi's heart suddenly fell to the bottom. Damn cell phone. She has been staring at her mobile phone this afternoon, waiting for calls and other messages, causing serious battery consumption. But just after I returned to the dormitory, I didn't even bother to check the battery of my phone and ran out again. Now I can't even say a word. The dormitory aunt whistled to remind those who had not yet entered the dormitory to speed up. When she saw Ye Wei standing at the door and wondering whether to get in, she yelled, "Student, don't stand outside, the dormitory will be closed soon." Ye Wei raised his head and saw his classmates walking into the dormitory at a faster pace. He suddenly turned around and ran away. "Hey, classmate, which dormitory are you in? How dare you run out now? No one will remember your name when I check the dormitory later." The dormitory aunt whistled and chased her for 2 steps, but Ye Wei had already disappeared without a trace. She can't care about that much anymore. No matter whether Yezikin comes back or not, she will go to that place. Even if you forget your promise, I will never forget the original agreement. Yezikin, you are the real fool. The arrogant figure stood in the vast snow, his thick black eyes casting a shadow. The man's hand kept making the motion of answering the phone, connected, and then hung up. Some things and some people may be destined to be missed, just like the first snow has finally ended. Ifir. Ahem. The thin man was walking on the snow carrying a black bag. The sound of continuous coughing seemed very small in the vast world, and the swishing footsteps in the snow seemed particularly abrupt in this quiet night. He found a pile of thick snow in a perfect location on the mountain behind Yejia's villa. Putting the bag down, he started working skillfully. Ignoring my hands that were red from the snow, I rolled the snowballs myself and built up a snowman bit by bit. The childish and playful voice in my memory seemed to be lingering in my ears again. The teacher said that the snowman's body is white, his eyes must be black, his nose must be red, and his scarf must be red to look good. Ahem. The cool breeze keeps company with solitude. Seeing the snowmen gradually piled up, a smile finally appeared on the sickly face. Taking out the snowman's eyes and nose from the black bag, after all, a red scarf is missing. Just as he was about to take off the black scarf from his neck, a clear but crying voice came from behind, "Idiot, the snowman's scarf needs to be red to look good." Yezikin was stunned. In the vast sky, apart from the sound of the cool breeze, he also heard the footsteps coming closer and closer from behind. if the book review area is flooded with pray for the first snowfall when Brother Chen and Little Lingdang meet again. Maybe they can see Chugzio again. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 284. Chapter 284. He fell in front of her. Idiot Yezikin, look back. This time, the person who said turn back finally became her. Yezikin turned around in response and stared at her indifferently, as if looking at a stranger, without any warmth in his eyes. Throat rolling. Yawei stretched out his hand to wipe the tears from the corner of his eyes, and asked with a trembling body, "Why do you have to come alone?" They had obviously come back to fulfill their agreement. Why didn't they tell her? If Shen Nianan hadn't mentioned it casually, she might not have had the courage to come back here today. Then are they going to miss it again? Yezikin remained standing and looked down at her, his dark eyes filled with waves. The pale thin lips opened slightly, and his voice was so hoarse that it lost its previous magnetism. Why do you want to come back? Ye Weiwei, who was full of grievances in his heart, didn't notice that his voice was ruined, and his red eyes were full of accusations. Why did you come? That's why I came. Why did they come here at the same time? Because of a childhood promise. That snowy day, they made a promise. The only time I look forward to snowing at this time of year is that it doesn't snow in S City for the next 2 or 3 years. In the 4th year, she had given up hope until New Year's Day. That day, Yezikin will attend a very important banquet of the Ye family with her parents. They will leave Ye, who is inconvenient to attend such an occasion, at home and be looked after by a servant. Ye Weiwei was watching TV and playing with toys. She lay on the windowsill expecting to see Yezikin come home. I was looking forward to it, but I saw something strange falling down from the window. She reached out to pick it up and was surprised to find, it's snow. She happily ran to the living room and called Yezikin on her landline, telling him that it was snowing in City S at that time. She didn't even remember Yezikin's promise that he would make a snowman for her when it snowed. Yezikin hurried back from the banquet, fearing that the Ye family couple would blame them for having fun, so he quietly took her to the mountain behind the villa to build a snowman for her. At that time, she was so happy that she danced and said, "Brother, you are so awesome. You still remember to help little Belle build a snowman. Yezikin still looks cool. Yezikin, will definitely keep my promise." Later, it would snow in City S every few years, and Yezikin's promise has continued, to this day. So, she will come. Yezikin suddenly frowned, his throat felt itchy and he coughed, cough cough. Ye Weiwei woke up from his memories, his expression tightened, and he took a step towards him. He took 2 steps back, obviously trying to avoid it. They had been in a cold war for a long time, and Yezikin deliberately criticized Ye Weiwei for concealing his illness. No one dared to tell her, and they were separated for a long time, so Ye Weiwei knew nothing about his illness. "You look so ugly, are you cold?" Through the light next to her, she saw Yezikin's very ugly face and bloodless lips. She lowered her eyes and saw Yezikin's red hands. Her heart suddenly softened when he heard him cough, and she reminded him anxiously, "Put on the scarf quickly, you will catch a cold." "It's just a cold." The hoarse voice was no longer as warm as before, and the dead expression on his face still had a chill. His cold lasted for several days, and even taking medicine became 3 meals a day. Is he still afraid of the cold? Cough cough cough. It seemed like he was going to cough up his lungs. I found that his lips were stained with bright red. Is that blood? You're coughing up blood. Ye Weiwei grabbed his hand regardless. Yezikin's body shook and fell directly to the ground. Is it still snowing after I fainted? The first question of the game we played last time, how old was Xiao Lingdang when he met Yezikin? Key points, pin the May event post in the book review area for details. Q&A with prizes. The first reader to answer correctly will be rewarded with 200 book coins, and one reader will be drawn from all subsequent readers with correct answers to be awarded 100 book coins. Answers need to be posted again in the book review area, otherwise they will be invalid. Candidates of 520 floors to have mailed physical gifts, bracelets, dream catchers, soft girl cups, dolls, of your choice by mailing physical gifts of your choice. It is now on the 475th floor. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 285. Chapter 285 Gujancy, you bastard. At 10:30 in the evening. Blood. Wei squatted in the corner of the snow-white wall, curling up into a ball, but she couldn't hide the trembling all over her body. Gujancy said, Yezikin is suffering from a stubborn illness. Gujancy said, Yezikin's cold symptoms lasted for several days. Gujancy said, Xiao Li, he protects you so well, you don't know anything. Ye only saw disgust in Gujancy's eyes. At that time, she knew that Gujancy had always believed that she was Yezikin's disaster and harm. Xiao Li, I'm really curious, what have you done to make such a man die for you? Gujancy stood in front of her, mocking condescendingly, I even doubt that you are somewhat sincere towards him, but it's just possessiveness that's at work. Ye Wei, who was originally timid and trembling, suddenly stood up and pushed him away. Gujancy. You are not allowed to say it. You are not allowed to say it. No matter how he blamed her before, she endured it silently because she was also very guilty and blamed all the mistakes on herself. However, she would never allow Gujancy to question her feelings for Yezikin. I can't bear it either. With eyes full of tears, Wei raised his head, with a cold and firm expression on his face. Gujancy, you can stand as Yezikin's friend and scold me as a doctor, but, you have absolutely no right to deny my feelings. The sudden tough tone and attitude made Gujancy unprepared, and she was really shocked. There were elusive emotions hidden in his green eyes. Gujancy stared at Wanyan Bingshan and snorted coldly. Two people stand facing each other. The sound of high heels gradually sounded in the long corridor, the frequency was very fast, and it was getting closer and closer. I saw Su Tangzi arriving in a hurry, and saw the scene of Gujancy and Ye Wei confronting each other. He suppressed the doubts in his heart, turned to look at Gujancy and asked, Brother Gu, where is Yezikin and others? Gujancy stretched out his hand and pointed to the door next to him, here. Su Tangzi glanced at Ye Yuyi and pushed the door open without any scruples. Ye Wei raised his fist in disbelief. Gujancy, you. She wanted to go in just now, but Gujancy lied to her and refused to allow her to go in and disturb him, so she was willing to stay outside. Unexpectedly, as soon as Su Tangzi arrived, Gujancy would let him go. Gujancy, what do you mean? As you can see, Su Tangzi helped Yezikin start his business in school. Su Tangzi took care of Yezikin when he fell ill at school. Since you were not there at the time, you don't need to show up now. You called Su Tangzi here, didn't you? Of course Su Tangzi learned from Suche that Yezikin followed her when she returned to S City. However, Yezikin refused to tell her where she was, so Su Tangzi could not find him. Later, Ye Wei contacted Gujancy after Yezikin fainted, and Gujancy privately informed Su Tangzi. Gujancy, you bastard, Ye Wei cursed indiscriminately. Immediately open the door and go in. She saw Su Tangzi sitting on the edge of the bed, trying to touch Yezikin's face. Ye Wei's eyes narrowed, fearing to disturb Yezikin, he silently approached Su Tangzi, pulled her up, and pushed her directly out the door. Su Tangzi didn't expect Ye Wei to have so much strength. When she was about to shout, Ye Wei had already closed and locked the ward door. Yezikin fainted, and this time, he fainted in front of her. She realized so late that Yezikin's entire body had lost weight, and his face was as pale as if he had no vitality. Do you have the urge to slap Gujancy? Thanks to Xiao 11, Yan Yan, Lu Daodao, Xia Tian, and 11U for the reward. Recommend a friend's current words. The sweet wife is too sweet, the paranoid young master, addicted to pampering esports. The goddess don't flirt with me, even a little soldier wants to become the king. Remind Kaibao again, the first question, how old was little Lingdang when she met Yezikin? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 286. Chapter 286 Kiss at 11:59 at night. Su Tangzi knocked on the door after being pushed out. Gu Chenxi grabbed her wrist and said, "Don't make any noise." Su Tangzi reached out to him and asked for it. "Brother Gu, where is the key?" She locked the door. "You can open it with the key." Gu Chenxi still had a cold face. Su Tangzi's hands trembled, but they still held them up. "Brother Gu, give me the key quickly, aren't you helping me?" Gu Chenxi touched his coat pocket, and flashed in his mind Ye Wei's tearful but still determined expression when he pushed him, and his movements paused. He glanced at Su Tangzi indifferently, then turned around and left. "Forget it." Su Tangzi, who didn't know why, chased after him unwillingly. "Brother Gu, you asked me to come here, you should help me now." Gu Chenxi glanced coldly. "They are sick, I hope you can be sensible." He almost forgot that Ye Wei was also sick. Those two people would become crazy for each other. Seeing the unmistakable light in those cold green eyes, Su Tangzi leaned against the wall in despair, no longer pestering Gu Chenxi. Indoor. Ye Wei was lying beside the bed, holding Yezikin's generous but slender hand with both hands. His palms were broad but as cold as ice, and his originally slender and white fingers were as clear as bamboo bones. Looking at his thin and bloodless face, Ye Wei felt the piercing pain in his heart. "Yezikin, you are really a big fool. It doesn't matter if you pay silently alone. They are now separated in two places. If they don't speak, how can they feel that the other person is suffering? I'm a fool too, why didn't I hold on a little longer? You don't even know how uncomfortable I felt when I saw the tacit cooperation between you and Su Tangzi. Do you know that I am very possessive? I'm afraid that if I can't help but run in and make trouble with you, then you may find that Jiaoling is no longer the little bell in your mind. I'm very scared. I'm afraid that the relationship between us will change. I'm afraid you'll leave. Yezikin is always so outstanding, and Jiao Liao is no longer the only one in Ye. The little bell used to be lively, cheerful, quirky, and lovable. Later, Ye was timid and cowardly, but lovable. Now Jiaolian is full of thorns. She shook her head to get rid of all the confusion in her mind. There were layers of mist in his eyes, which showed the lonely figure, the hands that were red from the cold in the snow, and the smile on the corner of the mouth that kept switching between the indifferent expression. "Brother Chen, would you please wake up? You promised me that you would accompany me to watch the first snowfall every year." She suddenly remembered something, stood up and ran to the window. The cool night breeze was clear, but it was no longer snowing. "Please, let it snow again. Please, let it snow again." She bowed her head and prayed, and the first snow became a comfort in her heart. It was as if the first snowfall could bring her and Yezikin back to the beginning. The clock running slowly beside the mural reaches 11 o'clock, and in 1 hour, everything today will end. Ye Wei stayed by Yezikin's side, quietly listening to the sound of the clock. She opened her eyes and looked at him quietly. At the moment the clock reached 11:58, she suddenly stood up, supported the edge of the bed with both hands, and bent down with her head lowered. Half a circle passes by 1 second at a time. A kiss as light as a feather fell on her lips. "Even if there is no first snow, I will meet you again. It's the last minute." Will it snow again? Brother Chen, should you open your eyes at the last moment? Pray for over 3,000 recommendation votes and a super sweet chapter will be posted on Chinese Valentine's Day. Thanks to the little angels such as Yi Ji Zioxi, Zinxin, Zhiren, it's hard for me to coax, messy memory, late autumn will not change names. If the recommendation votes exceed 3,000 today, I will post a super sweet chapter on Chinese Valentine's Day. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 287. Chapter 287. Don't cry, it's snowing. Suddenly a gust of cool wind blew outside the window. Ye Wei raised his head slightly and glanced outside. Something seemed to be falling in the silent night sky. She happily reached out to the window and stretched out her hand. A piece of pure white snow fell on her hand. Look, it's snowing. Her palms felt wet, and she turned around to share the joy with that person, but the clock reached 12 o'clock, and the man lying on the bed closed his eyes tightly, and his pale face hurt her eyes deeply. The door lock was turned, and Su Tangzi walked in boldly holding the door key. Qiao Li, I underestimated you. Su Tangzi obviously resented Ye Wei for pushing her out just now. If she hadn't been unwilling to go to Guchensi later and told him about tomorrow's school final test, Guchensi would still have refused to give her the key. Brother, it's mine. Ye Wei raised his eyes, the expression on his face was not as good as before. What's yours? You are so selfish. Su Tangzi's eyes showed dissatisfaction and disdain. Do you know that tomorrow is the school's final test? If he fails to refer to it on time, it will be equivalent to failing the class and retaking it. That will be bad for his future. What a stain. Su Tangzi deliberately exposed the truth of the matter, just waiting to see Ye Wei's panicked expression and her crying and repentant look. However, Ye Zi just opened his eyes indifferently and said nonchalantly, I don't know. This attitude instantly angered Su Tangzi. She pointed her finger at Ye Wei and complained, why are you so cold? Didn't you hear that Yezikin has an exam tomorrow? You shouldn't leave him here. Ye Wei suddenly stood up and pinched Su Tangzi's arm accurately. Sister Su, I advise you to keep your voice down so as not to disturb Brother Chen when he sleeps. She felt pain with the slightest exertion. Su Tangzi scolded coldly, Qiao Li. Ye Wei shook her hand away and said, Sister Su, please get out. Why do you order me? I am the one who knows Yezikin best. I was the one who accompanied him when he was ill. It is you who should leave. But, the person he likes most is me. Ye Wei's lips curved, and just one word of truth made her win without a fight. While Su Tangzi was angry, she quickly snatched the keys hanging from Su Tangzi's hand and pushed her out of the door with one palm. Sister Su, if you don't leave by yourself, I will help you. Ye Wei casually put the key on the table. As if the dust had settled, her legs weakened and she fell to the cold floor. The calmness she had just now no longer existed. She seemed to have lost her life and burst into tears. Yezikin, you are really a big fool, big fool. It's just a promise, it's just the first snow, why are you kidding about your body? How can I pay it off? It will never be possible, I have to pay it off. She moved to the edge of the bed on her knees, lying there with her hands, and the sheets quickly became wet. Tears blurred his eyes that were red from crying, and Ye Wei's emotions were out of control. I cannot do it. Can't pretend to be strong when facing Su Tangzi. Actually, she is just a coward. Brother Chen, please wake up quickly, I don't know what to do. She buried her head in her arms sadly. Just missed the person lying on the bed, and his fingers trembled. Don't cry. The number of recommended votes is about to reach 3,000. Kaibao people will keep up the good work. Today, we will give out super sweet candies for Chinese Valentine's Day after reaching 3,000. Thanks to Yun Liang Wu Wu, Yu Ye Rabbit, Yun Xiao 11, Sunian, So what if not beautiful or cute, blushing, easygoing, and other cute little ones for their rewards? The 520th floor of the reward building gives out physical gifts. Now it's 492. I want it, come on, little cutie. Winners of the first question, 200 book coins for listening to the sound of rain and 100 book coins for 11U. Join the group and contact 11U to receive it. Book Club Group 1450160019. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 288. Chapter 288. Concealing the truth, she is gone. Don't cry. The magnetic voice carried a familiar gentleness, and yet I couldn't wait to catch it, knocking it against the edge of the bed with a dong sound. Wei rubbed his sore forehead, opened his eyes and murmured, "It turned out to be a dream." When I woke up, I found that I had slept on the side of the bed all night. She tried to move her hands and feet, but her numb legs made her cry out in pain. It took a while before she recovered. She stood up holding onto the bed and stared at Yezikin for a long time. He had not moved all night and still refused to wake up. It gets late in the morning in winter, and I am familiar with the morning self-study time at school. Now that I wake up, the sky outside is still dark. She seems to have forgotten something important. Oops, her cell phone was turned off last night and she didn't remember it until now. I quickly took out my mobile phone to charge it, but within a short time of turning it on, many text message reminders of no answer calls popped up. And Shen Nianan's text message, the dormitory and kept it secret. If you see the message, please remember to reply to us. Ah. She patted her head irritably. Looking at the time for morning self-study, she called Shen Nianan and asked for leave from the teacher. After taking care of the school affairs, Wei exhaled a long breath. Going back to the bedside, he grabbed Yezikin's hand and shook it, forcing the corner of his mouth to curve. "Brother Chen, have a good rest. I'll make breakfast for you." She thought that if Yezikin woke up, he would definitely need to supplement his nutrition. Wei was finally willing to open the door. No one was outside. She asked Gu Jinxi's housekeeper to check the kitchen. No matter how Gu Jinxi treated her in private, at least she was still Miss Jiao in front of the servants. Su Tangzi happened to see Wei walking into the kitchen. Su Tangzi waved the housekeeper over and asked in a low voice, "Did Jiao Li go in just now?" The housekeeper answered truthfully, "Yes, Miss Jiao said that she would cook porridge herself." Su Tangzi went upstairs silently, and with a push, the door of Yezikin's room was opened. Humph, Su Tangzi snorted inwardly. Last night, she was forced out of the house twice by a yellow-haired girl. However, her strength was not as strong as Wei's. Just thinking about it makes her very angry. After calming down, Su Tangzi walked into the room. Yezikin didn't wake up, but she was still worried. Su Tangzi approached and just sat down by the bed when he noticed that Yezikin's hand moved. "Yezikin," she tried shouting twice. With his fingers trembling, Yezikin slowly opened his eyes. Su Tangzi's appearance gradually appeared in his pupils, and he frowned slightly. Su Tangzi breathed a sigh of relief. "Yezikin, you finally woke up. Do you know that I have been worried about you all night, and it scared me to death?" Yezikin looked at her expressionlessly and put his hands on his hands to sit up. Su Tangzi reached out to help him, but Yezikin turned aside to avoid it. "No need." Su Tangzi smiled awkwardly, pretending not to care and said, "How do you feel now? Tell me if you feel uncomfortable. Why am I here? Why are you here? Have you forgotten? You fainted last night and were sent to Brother Gu. Where is she?" "What? Yesterday, it was Qiao Ling who was with me." She has left a long time ago. Have you forgotten that she is a high school student and she has to go back to school?" Su Tangzi lied subconsciously. "Yezikin, we have to go back to school to take exams today. If you can still insist, Let's go back to City G. P. What should I do if Su Tangzi deceives brother Chen? Question 2. What is Yezikin's hobby? Don't say you like little bells or anything like that, it has nothing to do with the person, just answer his hobbies. Key points, pin the May event post in the book review area for details. Q&A with prizes, the first reader to answer correctly will be rewarded with 200 book coins, and one reader will be drawn from all subsequent readers with correct answers to be awarded 100 book coins. Answers need to be posted in the book review area according to the format, otherwise they will be invalid. Summary of has mailed physical gifts, bracelets, dream catchers, soft girl cups, dolls, of your choice by mailing physical gifts, bracelets, dream catchers, soft girl cups, dolls, of your choice on the 520th floor of the 520th floor of the 522nd floor of the 522nd floor of the reward building. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 289. Chapter 289. His memory is incomplete. Exam. Yezikin rubbed his forehead and sighed softly. There was a high-level mathematics exam this afternoon. I came back because of you. You don't want us to miss the exam, right? Seeing that Yezikin didn't ask about Yayowe's matter, Su Tangzi pretended to be relaxed and brought up the topic. You go out first. Cough, there was an itching sensation in my throat. Yezikin sat cross-legged on the edge of the bed and suddenly raised his eyes to look out the window. The glimmer of morning light. The first snow no longer exists. His fingers touched the edge of the bed, where the blanket was wrinkled, and some strange images flashed before his eyes. When he was sleeping, it seemed as if someone was crying and telling him in his ear, and involuntarily, he raised his fingers and touched his lips lightly, and the memory of the little girl's smiling face flashed through his mind. Just when he was about to think of something, a moderate knock on the door broke his thoughts. Dong dong dong. Su Tangzi, who was waiting outside, tried to knock on the door. Yezikin, are you okay? I just checked the ticket, and it's just the right time to rush there. If you delay, time will be tight. Hearing Su Tangzi's tactful urging, Yezikin frowned slightly. He fulfilled his promise and I still left. Of course he couldn't let her go easily. But now is not the right time. He opened the door to the room and replied to Su Tangzi, okay. Cough cough cough. A hoarse voice accompanied by a cough makes people feel uncomfortable. Su Tangzi reminded with concern, drink a glass of water first to moisten your throat. This ward seems to be specially set up for Yezikin, with complete basic applications. Su Tangzi just casually looked over at the water dispenser and saw a pink mobile phone being charged. Su Tangzi silently said no in her mind because she remembered that it was Yes only cell phone. If Yezikin sees it, then it must be. In desperation, Su Tangzi shouted anxiously, Yezikin, what's your ID card as a patient? I'll just buy 2 air tickets now. In fact, she has memorized Yezikin's ID card so well that she has even bought the plane ticket. Yezikin turned his back to her and read out a string of numbers smoothly. Su Tangzi got into the room and wanted to stop him, but Yezikin still found the pink mobile phone lying next to him when he was getting the water cup. Yezikin picked up the phone first without taking the water or filling the glass. After pressing the screen to light up, Su Tangzi stood diagonally behind him and saw with his own eyes that Yezikin put his thumb on Ye Weiwei's phone and unlocked it. Turn out to be. The two of them trust each other and share fingerprints on their mobile phones. Su Tangzi suddenly had an inspiration, picked up the cup and filled him with half a cup of warm water, and handed it to him. Yezikin, don't look at your phone. Drink water first to moisten your throat. We should leave, otherwise we won't be able to catch up airplane. This is the only mobile phone she still has. No, I just saw her leaving in a hurry. She may have forgotten to take her mobile phone away while charging. Su Tangzi now just wants to find all the excuses to instigate Yezikin to leave quickly, otherwise Yezikin may not be willing to leave when Ye Wei cooks the porridge and serves it. However, the moment he saw the mobile phone, Yezikin was already shaken. He coldly rejected Su Tangzi's kindness. "You go back first, I have something to do." Yezikin was about to go out to look for someone while holding her pink mobile phone. The screen suddenly went cold and the phone vibrated in the palm of her hand. When I opened it, I saw a call from Su Yuchen. Yezikin's aura suddenly turned gloomy and cold. Kixi Festival said that if the recommendation votes exceed 3,000, a chapter of super sweet candy will be given. Question 2, what is Yezikin's hobby? Answer questions should be posted again in the book review area. The format is, quick answer XXXX or, quick answer, XXXX. Always write quick answer. Congratulations, 520 has been snatched up by Lu Deidao, contact Kixi to claim the prize. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 290. Chapter 290. Brother Chen, I cooked the porridge with my own hands. Su Yuchen called Ye Wei, and Yezikin answered it. Chiao Li, I heard that you were sick and asked for leave. Did you catch a cold from the cool breeze when you went to Milan to see the snow yesterday? Hold the phone to his ear and listen to a series of caring words that came out of Su Yuchen's mouth. Merlin looks at the snow. Yezikin sneered and hung up directly. Su Tangzi deliberately pretended not to know the situation and asked, "Yes, who called?" However, Yezikin didn't even give him a look, and drew a distant line, "It has nothing to do with you." Yezikin took Yes only mobile phone, opened the door and went out. Kitchen. Ye Wei, who had been busy for a long time, held the finished product that he had worked so hard to cook. The fresh fragrance was neither sweet nor greasy. "Wow, it's finally ready." Even the chef in charge of the nutritious breakfast of the Gu family praised her. "Miss Jiao, your porridge is very good." "Thank you, I cooked a lot, uncle can share some with you," she said her thanks in a sweet voice, and she returned to her usual well-behaved appearance. Ye Wei personally scooped up a bowl of soft and delicious rice porridge and took it out. When he walked to the stairwell, he happened to meet Yezikin coming down from the top. Ye Wei raised his head, surprise and smile appeared in his eyes. "Brother Chen, you're awake." But when she saw Su Tangzi following Yezikin, the smile in her eyes faded a little. Of course, she would not show it in front of Yezikin. Ye Wei picked up the exquisite blue and white porcelain bowl and showed his goodwill to Yezikin with a smile on his face. "Brother Chen, this is the porridge I just went to the kitchen to cook, specially made for you. Can you try it when you wake up?" Su Tangzi walked out from behind to make her presence felt. "Only sister, we have to rush to the airport now. We have exams in the afternoon. I'm afraid we won't have time to stay here." "Brother Chen, are you leaving? But you fainted yesterday and didn't eat something before leaving." Knowing that Su Tangzi wanted to cause havoc, Ye Wei pretended not to understand and showed kindness to Su Tangzi. "Sister Su, you too, there is extra porridge in the kitchen, you can eat some too." Su Tangzi didn't expect that Ye Wei would also call her, and she felt a little embarrassed at the moment. But Su Tangzi was not interested at all in the porridge cooked by Ye Wei. Now she just hoped that Yezikin would leave with her. "Only sister, we really don't have time." Ye Wei sneered in his heart. "How can I not have time? It takes 2 hours to fly to G City, and it is only 7 o'clock in the morning. I can make it in time for the afternoon exam." She was really worried about Yezikin. Not eating for so long would have a great impact on the body's energy consumption. No matter what her selfish motives are, she will not let Yezikin go. It's so early in the morning, There's no need to block the stairwell of my house, right? The elusive Guchensi appeared out of nowhere, making sarcastic remarks and a cold expression that made everyone unhappy. Yezikin walked down the steps silently. Su Tangzi reminded reluctantly, Yezikin, we have to leave now. If we need food, go to the airport to buy it. Yezikin passed Yewei and walked in front. Yewei suddenly turned around and made a face at Su Tangzi behind him. Yewei turned around and walked down the steps, catching up with Yezikin quickly and handing out the porridge in his hand. You don't feel anything when you first put it in, but the heat will soak out after a while. Touched the edge of the porridge bowl with his fingers, his beautiful eyebrows furrowed, and Yewei let out a small hiss, it's hot. As soon as he finished speaking, his hands suddenly became empty. Come on, guess who brought the porridge away? Thank you Xia, Xiao Po boy, the flowers are about to fade, and I will love you all my life for your rewards. I love you so much. Pen refill. Yesterday, Kixi Festival said that 3,000 recommended votes would give out sweets, and today we will definitely give out sweets. If it exceeds 4,000 today, let's have a sweeter chapter. End of this chapter.